Greetings. This will be a video regarding 3 tsunamis that occurred in 1922 and 1923, and 3 of them occurring within 6 months of each other. In November of 1922 in South America, specifically Chile, we'll talk more about this later on, and 2 of these major tsunamis occurred in the Kamchatka Peninsula in the months of February and also April, with the April tsunami being up to 30 metres in height. The important aspect with both of these Kamchatka Peninsula earthquakes, 8.4 magnitude and the upgraded 8.2 magnitude in the month of April, both of these earthquakes had significant tsunamis associated, and the second tsunami was up to 30 metres as mentioned previously, with 36 casualties. Now we're looking at a series of planetary stations that were moving across the Kamchatka Peninsula in the years preceding these major earthquakes. Initially we had a Saturn station in 1919, pretty much in between both geolocations on the Earth and both stars, measuring the epicenter of both earthquakes. So note the geolocation of this Saturn station. Now moving ahead to 1921, we get another major planetary station, this time involving Jupiter. Notice geolocation on the Earth. Now with Saturn station just 2 years prior, and now the Jupiter station, they are suspiciously close to both of these future earthquakes to come. But initially when I looked at both of these events, I initially thought that it'll have to be a Neptune or Uranus station, and we get 2 Uranus stations in 1921 and 1922. Note their geolocations. So we get 4 planetary stations right across the Kamchatka Peninsula prior to these major tsunamis that will occur in 1923. Now having a closer look with astrocartography at what was going on at the time of these planetary stations back in 1919 of the Saturn station, which occurred in December. Now looking at the chart aspect, the important configuration in behind this station is Jupiter having a very strong square aspect within 37 minutes of Venus. So we have a Jupiter-Venus interaction at the time of the planetary station of Saturn. Now moving ahead to May of 1921, this time we're focusing on the Jupiter station. Now the Jupiter station is extremely powerful as it makes its station pretty much just west of the house location marking the future earthquake to come. But importantly, as Jupiter makes its station, it's now having an opposition with Uranus, so we have this enhancement and a major planetary alignment. And then there is another planetary alignment taking place on this day between Sun and Mercury, and that planetary alignment is linked into Saturn, also at trine aspect, which is a very interesting symmetry. And also, just as an extra note, we have Venus just within 2 degrees of interacting with the node. We're now moving ahead just to the following month, and this time the Uranus station is extremely powerful. Notice house location, very close to the earthquake epicenter. But importantly, Venus has now moved into position where it's squaring into Jupiter, which has just moved through its station. So you can see how Venus and Jupiter are having another interaction. Previously at the Saturn station it was a square, and now we have another interaction, this time a trine aspect between both planets. Now I've just progressed it forward just a further 4 days. Now Uranus is still at station. But we have a look, we can actually see Venus having a very strong interaction not only with Jupiter, but now it's also having a very strong square aspect into Neptune. So Venus is extremely strong after it's moved through the node the previous month. And we also have a near planetary alignment between Sun and Mars as well. So there's a lot going on with the Jupiter station and now with the Uranus station in the month of June 1921. We're now looking at the final station of Uranus in 1922 in the month of November. Now we can see the Uranus station just to the western side of where the house location depicting the future earthquake epicenter. The extra harmonic shows the Pluto trine aspect right over the house location, which is very interesting. We can see from the chart there is a trine aspect involving Uranus and Pluto. The 144 degree harmonic of Saturn is very near Uranus, so there's a lot going on with this aspect. But importantly, if we have a look on the left hand side, we note the Sun position having a perfect interaction with both nodes at 26 degrees, and the strong trine aspect is interacting with the south node. So there's a lot going on with the second aspect of the Uranus station. So 4 planetary stations across Kamchatka Peninsula, and 2 major earthquakes were to follow pretty much around 3 to 4 months later. Now I did mention a third tsunami that occurred within 6 months, this time across the globe in South America. Chile had a very powerful earthquake with a resulting tsunami in the month of November of 1922. Now if we have a look at the astrocartography, we have a very powerful Jupiter station just offshore in 1918, 4 years prior to this major earthquake. We note that Jupiter is stationed, notice geolocation, just offshore. We also have Uranus stationed as well, and it's also in between the Jupiter station as well as the house. So it's in between both areas, which is quite fascinating. Now I've gone right back with the software to 1909. We have a very powerful planetary station of Neptune focused right over the house location marking the future earthquake. Note that Neptune is stationed while opposing Uranus, and we have that configured square aspect into Saturn. So we get a very powerful day, and looking at the extra harmonics, it gets into another level in the month of October of 1909. So we get quite a lot of planetary aspects focused over a given region, and then we get pretty much a reconnection event in 1922, and that's when the earthquake event takes place. So there was a Jupiter station in 1918. There was also a Jupiter station in 1913, this time half the distance from its offshore in 1918, and this time much closer into the coast and very near the house location of the future earthquake to come. Note that Mars is interacting with both nodes as well as Pluto, so there's a lot going on, and we have the Jupiter station connecting into the Sun. 1915, this time we get a Saturn station pretty much offshore, while we get a series of trine aspects focused right over the house location of Chiron, Jupiter and Venus. Note their triple convergence and trine aspects focused pretty much right over or just west of the house location at the time of the Saturn station in 1915. This is the official time frame and date of the earthquake in South America. An extremely large earthquake, as mentioned, in 1922 in the month of November. Note that on this day of the earthquake we have Venus and Uranus almost at perfect square aspect, and Sun and Neptune also at perfect square aspect as well, within 25 minutes and within 40 minutes of each other of perfect square aspects. Now again, this is quite fascinating. I was just looking at the Saturn stations and looking at a future earthquake to come based on a Saturn station, and ironically I was looking at the November 2024 Saturn station, and I plotted it on the Earth with astrocartography, and look where it hits. Pretty much over the same area that I've just focused on in this video, and it was completely by accident and it caught me off guard. It's pretty much over the same area in the globe of the April major earthquake, 8.2 magnitude in the Kamchatka Peninsula at 1923. Look how close it is to the star which is marking the epicenter of that event, and the Saturn station this time is just to the east. Now I'm concerned that the Kamchatka Peninsula may receive another very strong earthquake, and could be in 2025. Now this Saturn station was quite powerful in 2024. There was a lot of planetary geometries, not only with Saturn stationing, but there was also a series of planetary connections. Sun and Uranus were at opposition, Mercury and Jupiter are also at opposition, but importantly we have an interaction with both nodes involving Venus, which is squaring both nodes, and Mars was trine aspecting into the nodes. So we got a lot going on with Mars and Venus, while we get a station of Saturn. So I do feel that the month of July may actually represent a strong event for the Kamchatka Peninsula, as we get a reconnection in the nodes of both Venus and Mars during this time frame. Now this time frame will be highlighted by a very slow moving planetary alignment that will be slowly converging into a conjunction, and that's between Venus and Neptune. They are within 1 degree of each other in the month of July 2025. If we have a look, we've got Mars at perfect aspect with the node. Note that's 20 degrees, and we have Venus on the opposite side having a square aspect into both nodes, and this I feel could be a reconnection event and a possible release for a major earthquake for the Kamchatka Peninsula in the month of July 2025. That concludes this video regarding the major tsunamis that occurred in 1922 and 1923, and specifically isolating the Kamchatka Peninsula series of major earthquakes and resulting tsunamis that occurred in 1923, and the related symmetry to a possible event in 2025 based on this reconnection of a major planetary station. Thanks for watching.